Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to News 3 Now Live at 4.
It's Friday!
And it's only been a 4-day week.
That's true. A big weekend is on the way with the Ironman, the first Badger home game. We got our Badger red on.
Lots going on.
Yeah.
So let's get right to the news today. Here's what's making news. The Ironman, as Susan said, the Ironmen and women are ready, but are you? Rose Schmidt shows us what motorists can expect this Sunday.
And we'll watch the forecast for the Ironmen and women as well. As humanitarian aid arrives in the Bahamas, Hurricane Dorian is still a real threat along the eastern seaboard.
And the latest on the investigation of that terrible boat fire in Southern California.
Let's take a look outside today. Boy, the weekend is off to a nice start around here. A little breezy.
Cloudy and cool this morning, but look at all those red-winged blackbirds.
Oh, isn't that a pretty sight? That is an autumnal picture, isn't it?
Sure is, yeah. It's coming, the big migration. Fantastic football weather are the weather words, and Dave Caulfield is in the backyard. There he is.
Hike.
Hey, how are you?
Hey, how's it going? Yeah, we finally did get that sunshine to appear this afternoon on visible cloud track. More stubborn clouds in the morning. We've seen this story before, especially over the last week or so, but high pressure literally pushing those clouds off to the east, and we can see that on the last couple of scans on visible cloud track. So I do think while a few clouds will be around tonight into the overnight hours, it will be mostly clear in most spots. Madison on the WISC-TV Skycam showing those partly sunny skies, and so the weather turning around just in time for Friday night football festivities. Temperatures right now are in the lower to middle 70s across southern Wisconsin. Yeah, the wind was a little bit gusty today out of the northwest. Rogue cold front on that map. That front has since passed, but as I mentioned, we're still getting wind gusts of about 20 to 25 miles per hour. I think that wind will relax a bit as we head into the next few hours. Evening planner, those temperatures falling through the 70s and 60s, so it should be pretty nice for any gridiron games that you are heading out to this evening, or any plans that you might have as well. Here is a look at your first alert traffic update. Broadway and the Beltline, we are seeing that normal slow go on the eastbound side. Westbound not looking too bad. We do have an accident showing up on our traffic maps closer to Beloit. That accident is on the interstate southbound I-39 near exit 183. One lane is blocked. Not too much in the way of a delay showing up right now, but just keep that in mind. Hopefully that will be cleared soon. Across Dane County, no major accidents or incidents to report. Traffic is generally pretty slow as you look eastbound on the Beltline, but it's a Friday afternoon after all. Verona Road to John Nolan, eastbound on the Beltline, that'll cost you 16 minutes with an average speed of around 15 miles per hour. That's your first alert traffic update. We'll talk about unsettled weather, but a return of summer-like temperatures for at times next week in your first alert forecast.
Right, summer's not over yet.
No.
All right, Dave. See you in a few minutes. Thank you.
Thank you, Dave. First at 4, as thousands of people head into Dane County this weekend for the Ironman Triathlon, police are asking for your patience.
There will be multiple road closures throughout downtown Madison and delays in a number of surrounding cities, including Verona. Rose Schmidt is live to tell us what you can expect during Sunday's race. Hi, Rose.
Hi, Mark and Susan. The Ironman cyclists will actually make 2 loops through Verona, so the city and police are doing what they can, putting up signs and trying to make sure that drivers are aware of the possible traffic impacts this weekend. Police will also have officers stationed at multiple intersections throughout the city. Now, during that competition, the athletes will actually swim in a loop through Lake Monona. Then the bike course takes them 16 miles out of town before starting 2 40-mile loops in Verona, Mount Horeb, and Cross Plains. Then finally, they'll head back to Madison, where they'll run 2 loops near downtown and the UW campus. The competition will bring thousands of additional people to Verona on the north and south ends of town Sunday morning, the day police have been preparing for months.
There's only, I believe, 2 or 3 roads in Verona that'll actually have full closures. The rest of the roads are going to be staffed with our officers doing traffic control. So we just ask that the people that are coming through town plan ahead, plan some additional time to travel, and we just ask that they remain patient with us as we try to get them through as safely as possible.
Police will be working with local businesses along the route and trying to make sure that cars can get in and out as smoothly as possible. And police want you to know that the intersection of Old Highway, PB, and Wayland should be avoided if at all possible, because that is where these cyclists will be coming in and out of Verona.
All right, should be Congested but exciting time as well.
So inspiring, yeah.
All right, Rose Schmidt live in Verona. Thank you.
The names of Republicans considering running for the suburban Milwaukee congressional district being vacated by Jim Sensenbrenner continues to grow. The 25-year-old son of Scott Walker might be included in that group. The former governor says his son has had a number of people reach out to him about running. Matt Walker has never run for office before, and if he does, he could go up against some of the most powerful and experienced Republicans in the state. Foxconn says the executive that watched over the Wisconsin project is stepping down. Foxconn says Louis Wu Haw, quote, relinquished his project responsibilities to focus on addressing some personal matters. The Taiwanese company did not say what the personal matter is or say if the change was permanent or temporary. Allegations of sexual misconduct by an Evansville high schooler has sparked a community-wide discussion in that city.
Amy Reed joins us now to explain just what's going on. Amy?
Yeah, both the police and the superintendent for the district won't go into details about any investigation they may be working on now, but the Evansville Community School District superintendent said he's heard concerns from parents. Those parents have also posted on the area Facebook page. They said a high school student has been engaging in sexual misconduct, though they also won't go into specifics. Those posts caused more people to talk about their experience in reporting sexual harassment to the district and how they think the district handled it, or rather didn't. When we asked the superintendent about what's going on now, he said they look into every report.
If it's a school issue or if a concern comes to us, we take every concern seriously. We investigate every concern that comes to us, and we follow our policies and procedures so that we are consistent with every concern that does come our way.
Last night, community members met to talk about these allegations and how the district and city police have handled them in the past. We talked to the woman who put the meeting together, and coming up tonight at 6, we'll show you why she wanted to do this. As far as any incidents the school district is investigating now, though, they said they didn't want to compromise students' safety and privacy by discussing them any further.
All right, we'll see you at 6. Thanks, Amy.
Hurricane Dorian is slowly making its way up the eastern seaboard after making landfall this morning in North Carolina. Flash flooding remains a real threat for thousands of people as the storm moves further north. Mark Liverman has the latest.
Hurricane Dorian pounded parts of North Carolina with strong winds and torrential rain after making landfall over Cape Hatteras Friday morning. The storm surge from the Category 1 storm swamped the Outer Banks, causing significant flooding. Entire neighborhoods are now cut off.
There are rescue teams ready as soon as they can get in.
The rising floodwaters trapped people in their homes in Ocracoke Island. Dorian has already spawned at least 24 tornadoes. Residents are cleaning up in Wilmington after a suspected twister touched down, uprooting this old oak tree and causing property damage.
Been through tons of hurricanes, but the tornadoes are more scary than the actual hurricanes.
In Kill Devil Hills, the rain was relentless. Robert Lee rode out the storm in the pool.
It's just something I figure I can do and say that I did it.
But the governor warned people to take the storm seriously.
This latest development shows that we cannot yet let our guard down.
Officials say more than 370,000 people are in the dark, and thousands more could lose power as Dorian moves up the eastern seaboard. Well, here along the New Jersey shore, the surf is really picking up. Forecasters say the rain is on the way and winds could hit 45 miles per hour.
This is the first time that I've been out in the afternoon, and I, just like you, haven't seen anybody. So I guess they are heeding to the warnings.
They're paying attention.
They're paying attention.
Hurricane and tropical storm warnings and watches are in effect as far north as Canada throughout the weekend. Mark Liverman, CBS News, Manasquan Beach, New Jersey.
And hundreds of people have gathered at the airport and a port hoping to escape a Bahamian island devastated by Hurricane Dorian. The Grand Celebration cruise ship said to be carrying food, water, and other supplies docked at Freeport in Grand Bahama on Friday as an international humanitarian effort to help the Caribbean country gains momentum after it was ravaged by Hurricane Dorian. The Symphony of the Seas cruise ship was also seen waiting to dock. The cruise ships that operate in the Bahamas are are joining aid efforts by bringing supplies and personnel and offering to evacuate people.
Investigators are still searching for what caused a fire on a dive boat in California that killed 34 people. Authorities have found the remains of 33 people and are searching the ocean for the remaining victim. The Coast Guard says it's an operation that will take time. The families of all 34 victims have been contacted to collect DNA samples.
Due to the intense fire that occurred on the vessel, all of the recovered remains have suffered varying degrees of fire damage, which requires DNA analysis to confirm the identities of the victims.
Meanwhile, the owners of the dive boat filed a lawsuit to head off potentially costly litigation. Truth Aquatics, which owns the Conception, filed the action under a pre-Civil War provision of maritime law that allows the company to limit its liability.
Robert Mugabe, the former leader of Zimbabwe, has died. Mugabe was forced to resign in 2017 after a 37-year rule. To his followers, he was an African nationalist hero who defied the might of the white rule and won. To his enemies and detractors, he was a brutal tyrant who was responsible for economic turmoil, disrupted elections, and human rights violations. Robert Mugabe was 95 years old.
There's more at 4. When we come back, football season is here, and for a lot of parents of young players, there are concerns over concussions.
We'll find out what's being done to make the sport safer for these young athletes when Live at 4 continues. The U.S. economy continues to add people to the workforce, and those people are finding jobs.
But economic growth is slowing down. 130,000 Americans got new jobs in August, and the unemployment rate remains near a 50-year low at 3.7%. High employment and wage growth are helping consumers spend more money, and that's fueling the economy. But the job numbers were lower than expected, and the ongoing trade war with China is creating some global uncertainty, prompting businesses to cut spending.
Numbers for August were fabulous. Fabulous.
We have strong elements of the economy. The fundamentals are there, but there are only so many self-inflicted wounds an economy can suffer.
Federal Reserve Chairman Jerome Powell says some companies are holding back on investments because of uncertainty around trade policies. President Trump once again called on the Fed to lower interest rates and implied that he made a mistake appointing Powell to be Fed chairman.
And those numbers had a mixed effect on Wall Street. The Dow Industrials added 69 points, ending the week at 26,797. The NASDAQ Composite Index fell 13, but the S&P 500 managed a 2-point gain. Well, football season is here, sparking important conversations about concussions and safety.
In the greater Dane County area, high school and youth tackle leagues are making changes to the game to make them safer, but hits to the head remain a big concern. Julie Stamm is a professor of kinesiology at UW-Madison and an expert on concussions and CTE. Hi, Julie. Welcome to Live at 4.
Thank you for having me.
Great to see you. Can you explain for us what a concussion is?
Yeah, so a concussion can happen with a blow to the head, but also a blow to the body that transmits forces to the brain. And the brain is sitting within fluid in the skull, so it can move around within the skull. And the nerve cells can stretch and be strained with a concussion, and it causes this cascade of symptoms like confusion, sometimes nausea, sometimes sensitivity to light, but a wide range of symptoms.
But you could have a concussion without symptoms.
So you can have a concussion a concussion is when you have symptoms.
Okay.
But we can have subconcussive hits, and those subconcussive hits are still damaging the brain, but they happen without symptoms.
I've heard it described as if you hit your head, it's almost like a pickle in a pickle jar, that the pickle jiggles a little bit. Is that essentially what's happening?
Yeah, kind of like that, sitting in that fluid. I've also heard it like an egg yolk within an egg, that it's sitting within this fluid and it can jostle around within the skull, within that fluid.
Okay. Concussions aren't the only concern here. I mean, repeated hits to the head can cause problems too, especially young heads.
Absolutely. So we have repeated hits to the head that can cause changes in the brain. So we've seen changes in various parts of the brain just over one season, even in people who haven't had a concussion. So those can be damaging too. And there have been people diagnosed with CTE who have never had a concussion. So that's definitely a concern. And in the growing brain, we also have to worry about brain development. So in kids playing football, their brains aren't fully developed and they're going through very rapid development. So we really want to protect those developing brains from all of these repeated hits.
The technology has advanced with helmets and other protections, not as much contact in tackle football, but is there really anything you can do to prevent concussions?
So, fitting helmets appropriately can be helpful, although no helmet will ever prevent concussions fully because the brain still moves in that fluid. Reducing hits as much as possible is really important. Even a recent UW study showed that cutting down that contact time in practice reduced concussions in practice. So that's great. And also thinking about intensity of practice. So just cutting the time doesn't really matter if in that short window you have, you're hitting as hard as possible, as often as possible in that time. So all of these things can help to reduce concussion risk and just hits in general.
But the sports are important for kids. I mean, you can't say don't play football, don't play
And it's
sports.
not just football.
Right,
it's soccer and a lot of other sports.
Yeah, definitely. And we hear a lot about football because those hits are inherent to the game. But concussions can happen in a variety of sports, even just playing in your backyard, right? So it's great for parents to be aware of concussion symptoms. And it's important to manage appropriately in any sport. And sports are so important for kids. There's so many great benefits like teamwork and leadership and confidence and the health benefits, and I could go on and on. So sports are so important. We just need to be able to play these sports as safely as possible.
And could you quickly tell us the symptoms? What are the symptoms?
Yeah, so symptoms of a concussion could be confusion, memory issues, Loss of consciousness is not required. Actually, only a small percentage of concussions have loss of consciousness. But nausea, sensitivity to light and noise, even emotional symptoms, like if they're erratic, emotionally erratic or just not themselves, and also sleep disturbances can be a symptom.
Just be aware and play safely, as you say.
Absolutely.
Thanks for being with us today.
Great to see you, Julie.
Thank you so much.
For coming in.
Well, there's something happening in the Fall River School District.
Coming up tonight at 5, Jamie Perez looks into why the superintendent there was suddenly fired. That's coming up in 47 minutes.
Well, take a look at this. This modern Ukrainian woman is bucking the latest fashion trends by dressing in clothes from the turn of the 20th century. The woman's love for old clothes started when she began making replicas of dresses for historical movies. Most of her clothes are vintage, but some have been tailor-made down to the minuscule detail to resemble fashions worn by queens and dignitaries. She even wears all the traditional undergarments, from bloomers to corsets.
I thought that was controversial because of the first outfit. She's wearing white after Labor Day.
It's the Ukraine.
I was like, oh!
It's the Ukraine, you can. There you go, Susan. You try that look.
Why not? Sure. Well, a big problem is bubbling up for the nation's top hard seltzer brand.
And customers are, well, panicking. White Claw Seltzer says there's a national shortage of the popular drink. Oh no, the company says it's become a victim of its own success, with demand taking off faster than it expected. The company says it's working to increase its supply, but no word on when store shelves will be restocked fully. And there are still laws when you're drinking the Claw. I need to say that publicly.
Well, I asked Susan in the newsroom today. I said, what is White Claw? And All these millennials laughed.
That garnered quite a reaction.
Okay.
It's the hot drink.
It's the it's the hot millennium cocktail.
Well, if you dress up like that other woman, I'll have a white claw.
Okay. Everything coming together, exactly. And everything's coming together with this forecast a little bit with some nice football weather over the next 24 to 36 hours. We do have some shower chances, though, just in time for the Ironman. We'll talk about hour-by-hour precipitation chances and unsettled weather next week in your First Alert forecast in just a few claws. Good afternoon. I hope you had a really nice Friday so far. We finally did get that sunshine to peek out this afternoon as high pressure moves in from the west. Those stubborn clouds were here this morning, and it was looking a little bit dicey at points, but we can actually see that high pressure moving in from the west on visible cloud track and literally pushing those clouds off to the east. We'll see that trend continue over the next couple of hours. We're still watching the clouds and rain, wind, surge, everything associated with Hurricane Dorian. And right now, that is a Category 1 storm moving northeast at 24 miles per hour. So it really has picked up speed over the last 12 to 24 hours. Still with 90-mile-per-hour winds, that pressure at about 960 millibars. It actually could re-strengthen to a Category 2 as it hits Halifax a little bit later on this weekend, but luckily moving quickly enough where it is into the North Atlantic away from land by the time we get to early on Monday morning. But still, a lot of cleanup from the devastation from Dorian is coming up over the next weeks and months. Madison, the Edgewater Skycam, looking at partly sunny skies. We really did see that blue sky increase over the last couple of hours, and that helped those temperatures reach the lower to middle 70s across southern Wisconsin. Still a little bit below normal for this time of year, and I think those temperatures will just touch 70 degrees before mostly cloudy skies get here tomorrow. Some other temperatures right now, 72 in Janesville, still in the 60s in Watertown and Juneau. up to 77 in Bosqueville, the warm spot of the day for southern Wisconsin, and 73 in Platteville and Mineral Point. That wind has been a little bit gustier than we might like at times today out of the northwest behind that cold front that came through this morning at about 8 to 15 miles per hour, but still gusting closer to 20. And even in Madison, we're still looking at 25-mile-per-hour wind gusts at the airport. So your evening planner for Friday night football festivities and any evening plans that you might have is looking pretty good, with partly sunny skies and then transitioning to partly cloudy skies later this evening, with temperatures falling through the 70s and 60s. So for Badger football tomorrow, the home opener against the Chippewas of Central Michigan. That's right. Yes. Okay. Sorry. Had to kind of put that all together in the moment. Did get it right, though, by the skin of my teeth. Temperatures in the low 70s for highs tomorrow, so maybe a little bit of sunshine for the start of the game, but by the fifth quarter, we're going to be looking at pretty cloudy skies, but pretty seasonable for this time of year in the lower 70s for highs. And the Ironman, we may have to dodge some drops a little bit later on in the day, but I do think the morning should be relatively rain-free. Still cloudy, though, so a little bit on the cool side as we start off the morning on Sunday. High temperatures are a little bit cool to start off the week, but then look at this, a return of summer for the middle of next week, with temperatures in the 80s Tuesday, near 80 on Wednesday, with some chances for showers and storms aplenty. In fact, as we get into next week, pretty unsettled weather is settling in. We're in the lower to middle 50s tonight, a few clouds and relatively cool outside. As we head into tomorrow, low 70s, partly sunny to start, then mostly cloudy skies pretty quickly into the afternoon. Those temperatures falling to the 60s and 50s overnight. A few clouds around, but I still think it's going to be mostly clear for most of us starting off Saturday. Partly sunny in the morning, and then those clouds really settle in for the afternoon and evening hours. But I don't think we'll see any rain on Saturday, so we should be dry for most of the day, actually all of the day. As we get into Sunday, though, that becomes a little bit of a different story. We see that light rain moving in right around that lunch hour for southern Wisconsin. 7 to 10 day forecast. We're looking at the 80s returning for Tuesday, so that summer weather not exactly done with southern Wisconsin just yet. Breezy on Tuesday as well. Slight chance of rain on Wednesday, and then more shower and storm chances late Thursday and Friday. We should be dry on Saturday. Temperatures back into the 70s as we start next week, or the following week, I should say. Our long-term forecast models continue to hint at above average temperatures into the middle and possibly into the start of the end, if that makes sense, of September, the beginning of the end. So it looks like
it's always the beginning of the end.
Yeah, exactly. Especially when I'm talking. But we are looking at some warmer temperatures down the line. So fall wants to get here, but Mother Nature is saying not quite.
It's still early.
Yeah.
I was impressed you came up with the Badgers opponent.
Oh, thanks. Yeah, I was like, I reckon, the logo was in my head. I was like, the C, Central Michigan, Chippewas.
Those mid-afternoon White Claws will get to you.
Exactly.
Thanks, Dave. And the Prep Mania High School football game of the week takes us to Oregon, where the Panthers host Stoughton. Will be live on channel3000.com tonight at 7. We'll also replay the game on TVW Sunday afternoon and Wednesday evening.
And we'll have two other games streaming on channel3000.com. We'll have Monroe at Monona Grove and Baraboo at Sauk Prairie live. Channel3000.com beginning tonight at 7 o'clock.
And on Sunday, Chris Reese will keep us up to date on the weekend weather, and then stay tuned for CBS Sunday Morning. Jane Pauley is with us now. Good afternoon, Jane. And Sunday, I guess you're featuring a famous brother and sister team that have been entertaining us for years.
You bet. You say the names Donnie and Marie Osmond, and a lot of us think back to child stars of the 1960s or their TV variety show of the late 70s. Donnie and Marie have been performing since Donnie was 5 and Marie only 3 years old. And as they told our Lee Cowan, that wasn't always easy. Here's a clip.
Did you have friends? Did you go to school? How did that all work?
I never had time to have friends because I was on the cover of Tiger Beat and 16 magazine, and I was really probably one of the most popular teen idols at the time, but extremely lonely.
If there's any advice you could give to your 3-year-old self when you started performing?
Run. But Donnie and Marie are still going strong. Their brother-sister act is playing to sell out crowds in Las Vegas. Meanwhile, Donnie has 5 kids and 10 grandchildren, and Marie has 8 children and 8 grandkids, and we get to meet the whole clan.
They look great. I grew up listening to them. I'm glad to see they're still going strong.
Oh, yeah.
All right, what else is on the show this Sunday?
Well, The Handmaid's Tale was a phenomenon when it was first published in 1985. And now with the TV show starring Elizabeth Moss, it's become even more popular. We visit author Margaret Atwood at home in Canada and chat with her about the long-awaited sequel, 30 years long, and why the story seems so relevant today. All that and a lot more coming up on Sunday.
We'll see you at 8 o'clock. Good to have you back from vacation, Jane. Have a good weekend.
Thanks.
Oh, Donnie and Marie, I'm looking forward to that.
I am too, yeah.
I grew up with them. All right, still to come at 4. Are you ready to be scared out of your mind? Why not?
Pennywise is back. Oh no, it's the clown in the sewer. We'll have a preview.
I'm sitting right here.
We'll have a preview of the new movie opening this weekend when we come back.
Well, the horror movie It was a huge hit in 2017, and fans knew the film only covered the first half of Stephen King's classic novel.
The sequel arrives this weekend to continue the Fright Fest. What time are you picking me up?
What time? First showing?
David Daniel has a preview.
Hello. 27 years later, Pennywise the Killer Clown returns in It Chapter 2.
It's me, the Losers Club has officially begun.
The members of the Losers Club, who've grown up, moved away from Derry, Maine, and tried to forget, returned to town to face the menace together.
We didn't stop it.
Pennywise.
The clown. We can't let it happen again.
The stars found different ways to prepare for the sequel.
I listened to the audiobook for this movie in particular. It's 40 hours long. It's read by Michael C. Hall, and it's incredible. It really brings you into the world of Derry.
Yeah, it was great. And I just watched that first movie and then just ran with it.
I read the book when in high school, and once I got the role, I read the book again twice, and then I listened to the audiobook about 5 times. I kept it on repeat, and my wife was, after a while, she was like, "You need to turn that off."
For 27 years, I dreamt of you. I craved you. I missed you.
In Hollywood, I'm David Daniel.
Nope. Ain't gonna happen. Ain't gonna happen. Still to come at 4, a new play is making its debut in Madison. It's called Fake Mom.
Our real Michael Bruno has a preview for us as he goes backstage. That's when Live at 4 continues.
Good afternoon. Here is your Friday First Alert traffic update. Taking a live look at the Beltline and Todd Drive. We're seeing some slow go on the eastbound side. We have had a report of an accident close to Todd Drive and the Beltline eastbound. We could see an accident on exit 259. Average speeds are around 15 to 25 miles per hour on the Beltline. It'll cost you 31 minutes to traverse the whole thing eastbound with an average speed of around 30 miles per hour. That's your First Alert traffic update.
All right, thank you, Dave. We have more on the latest unusual entries from the 2020 Guinness World Records. We had started this yesterday. In a category all of her own, Brittany Walsh, a circus performer from Portland, Oregon, holds the world record for the farthest arrow shot using her feet. She managed to shoot the arrow 40.38 feet with her extraordinarily gymnastic skills.
Wow, that's amazing.
I can't even imagine that. No. Look at that. All right, the Katie Rasmussen Women Theater, or CRAS, is dedicated to fostering women playwrights and directors.
Its latest project is called Fake Mom, and it hits the stage for its world premiere next weekend. Our Michael Bruno goes backstage for a preview.
Jules, would you hire this woman?
Need to practice discussing difficult topics with your parents? Hire Fake Mom.
The story is there's an African-American woman and a Jewish man, and they've been a couple for a while, and they plan to marry. And they're a little nervous about telling their families because they're not sure their families are going to open their arms to this idea of them getting married. So they hire a company, a service that's called Fake Mom, where you can tell your whole story to someone before you tell your own families and try it out.
Your brother is bringing his girlfriend.
David's taking Sheila to Mom's for dinner.
Sheila's smart, pretty, and Jewish, and a doctor. Your mother must adore her.
I love presenting issues in art. I think that it's important, and I think there are things that we need to see, and I think that there are things that we need to talk about and think about and laugh about. I think that laughing about these things give us an opportunity to think about them more deeply later. So yeah, it's a fun play, but there are serious issues in it, such as racism, and we've been learning about ourselves and laughing through it, which I think is very, very healthy, and everyone should do it.
This Thursday, 4 days from now, perfect opportunity. Tell her you're bringing your girlfriend too.
Is that a good idea?
What a good idea. This character was a little hard for me at the beginning because she didn't appear, at least my first reading, to be very likable. And as an actor, I feel like you have to really like your character. You have to find something about that character that you can relate to. And it's been an interesting process for me because at first I was like, she wouldn't do this, she wouldn't do that. And then I think, well, she would do that. Okay, she'd do this. She might do it in a little different way. She might do it with a smile rather than having to be angry about how she's feeling.
It sounds like you think gay people and black people are animals.
Don't be silly. Some of my best friends are black. Oh, I don't know how you boys got so sensitive. You used to be an excellent trombone player, and now you teach high school math and fencing on the side. Jews don't fence.
I teach fencing at the Jewish Center.
So tell me a little bit about the process that you're going through when you're coming to create a character that's never been done before. This is the world premiere. So does that give you a lot of freedom and license, or is it kind of daunting to think I'm creating this person for the first time?
As you know, we've been working with our director as the playwright, so she's there to kind of see what we're bringing to the rehearsals, to the character, and say, yes, I like that, no, I didn't like that, but also give us the freedom to try different things, and in fact, asks us to try different things.
They're sick all the time.
You could be an accountant, like your brother.
Bye, Mom.
lot of people can relate to many levels of that.
Oh, yes. Yes, indeed.
That's a comedy.
It is a comedy, but it really deals with some pretty serious issues. It deals with racism. It deals with homophobia. It deals with religious differences. So it's just an interesting concept that you can try out your inner fears with this fake mom, which is really an interesting concept for a play.
Is it primarily those three characters, or is there a bigger cast?
There is a bigger cast. There are several more people that are involved in the cast, too. But they're still in the rehearsal process, in the rehearsal space, because it opens a week from tonight.
Oh, that's right, not this weekend.
Next weekend.
Correct.
What a vibrant theater scene we have here.
It's amazing how many wonderful new pieces of theater that we have in Madison.
It's at the Bartell next weekend through the 28th. BartellTheatre.org for ticket information. Next week?
Next week, another original musical, Comet Boy at the Brink Lounge by Jackie Bradley.
Oh, very good.
All right, have a good weekend.
Thank you. You too.
Go Bucky.
Go Bucky.
We'll be right back to the final check of your forecast. The sun finally came out.
Yeah, so we'll see partly cloudy skies tonight and into the overnight hours as well. Pretty nice outside for any plans that you might have. It will be a little bit cool by the time we start tomorrow morning with temperatures in the lower to middle 50s. For tomorrow, we'll see clouds on the increase, especially by the afternoon, but still not too bad. And it is dry tomorrow with highs in the lower 70s. Rain chances start to go up just in time for the Ironman on Sunday.
So, dry Badger game.
Yes.
All right, Dave, thank you.
Thanks, Dave.
Coming up Monday here on Live at 4, Dr. Pastor, Zorba Pastor, will be taking your medical questions live and talk about the dangers of falling.
And film critic Will Loper will be here to tell us what he thinks of the sequel to It, Chapter 2. That's coming up Monday on Live at 4. been another busy week for Lola and Louie in the Newshounds World Headquarters.
It's zoo babies galore in this week's edition of the Newshounds Now Update.
It's Newshounds Now Update with Lola and Louie.
This week in the Newshounds Now Update, red pandas ×2.
A baby zebra earns its stripes.
And is that a goat on your butt?
But first, brave deputies in Northern California helped a wailing baby bear reunite with its family after the cub got stuck inside a trash container. While mom keeps watch, the bear's sibling climbs the container but can't open the heavy lid. The deputies come to the rescue. With the bear family away and watching from behind a tree, a deputy opens the lid with a pole and puts a ladder inside the container. Very soon, the stuck cub climbs up the ladder and scurries off to rejoin its family. Good job, men.
Now our Zoo Baby Roundup. A cheetah cub is being raised by the Cincinnati Zoo. The 7-week-old named Chris was born to first-time mom Nina, who was having trouble taking care of the little girl. The Cincinnati Zoo is part of a cheetah breeding center coalition, so Chris will eventually help visitors learn more about the endangered species.
A pair of red panda twins, a male and a female, passed their first health checkup with flying colors at the Chester Zoo in England. Red pandas are endangered in the wild, and their numbers are dwindling. That's why it's important to keep these little guys healthy.
A zebra named Bomb, together with other female